So remember how just the other day I said, here's all the info we know about Vanguard Dear Days? So they went and dropped another trailer on us. Just like that. What's up, folks? For those of you that watched the most recent Tuesday stream, you'll know that we had a recent trailer go down on that stream. So that gives a whole new reason to watch the Tuesday streams, which I restream in English on my Twitch channel. You can find the link in the description if you want to, twitch.tv/DifferentFight. But in that trailer, we got some cool new information and some potential new hypotheses on what is going to be in the game. And I'm having fun covering stuff about the game, and I'm honestly just very excited about it, so I want to make these videos talking about it. Also feels like good timing because tomorrow we get the English restriction list, which is going to be pretty exciting. I don't really want to be putting out prediction videos at this point, but I just want to get surprised at this point, right? I just want to see the surprise. So anyway, let's take a look at the trailer together. Some of you have already seen it because of course I was basically just like sitting there with my mouth open watching it for the first time. But let's break it down in slow and kind of go through what we see there. We haven't had any other information about the game since, so this is all we got to work with, and maybe we'll get more information next week and then you'll hear about it next week again. So anyway, let's get into it. Alright, so of course they start off with like, this is the game that Vanguard fans have been asking for. And also, of course, you can see in the background there's a bunch of cards flying around from different starter decks. So here we basically see, again, the UI that we've seen quite a bit. They still haven't fixed the damage thing, which I hope they fix up here. I'll keep saying it until they do. But the UI, of course, as we talked about before, looks very EXy. But, it's, again, don't need to fix what's not broken is what I always say. So again, the battle UI and everything looks exactly the same. This is basically the same as what we've seen so far, right? So of course this is, standard theme rules. Looks like we're gonna get voice lines for different skills and whatnot as well. And then they do this cool little cut-in with Buff Sagara, which I guess they will have space on the field for Buff Sagara, obviously, her being a very important deck. So then this visual kind of tells us that, of course, cards up to at least set 5, which is the most recent set in Japan, will be in. So I personally expect this game to have the most recent sets that come out in Japanese. So this will probably be like DBT07 or even DBT08. I guess not 08, but DBT07 at least I really do expect. And hopefully with updates, even the Japanese side is asking for updates, so hopefully with updates to future sets. But obviously they're not going to show unreleased cards in this screen, right? So they're showing us stuff of DBT05 plus Festival Collection. We can see, of course, the Grave Zorga. So people are saying it's like, yeah, no, it's going to be just up to Festival Collection, don't get your hopes up. I'm honestly, like, it would be a pretty weird marketing tactic to not put the most recent cards, because how are you going to sell a game to people, without putting in the most recent cards? Like, this is not Master Duel, right? You don't have that kind of power. So moving on through the trailer, this is a pretty important one as well. So what you can see here is, of course, the shop screen, and this basically confirms to us that it is going to more or less work the same as in EX. So we have 3 pages here you can see at the bottom of packs, so we can count like set 1, 2, 3 plus Lyrical. Then I think in release order we would have, technically I think, didn't Lyrical release before set 3 originally? I think, yeah, the release order wise, I'm pretty sure set 3 came out after Lyrical set 1, but then I'm assuming after this we're going to have set 4, Lyrical set 2. Somewhere in here should be Festival Collection 1 and 2, but there's also more foils and more cards per set here. So you see here, like, I'm covering up right now, but you can see here the total cards in set 1 is 163, which is way more than we have in set 1. So does it contain foils, or did they put like the Festival Collection cards into it? So that's something to kind of keep in mind already, that they kind of changed up the set contents, but that just might be the separated rarities. But then after that, you basically would have the third page, if Festival Collection is in, you'd have the third page being set 5 plus set 6 and 7 and Lyrical 3 and 2, I would assume. So again, it depends how they do Festival Collection. I think back in the 3DS games, what they would do with all the Fighters Collections is just condense them into one set from what I remember. So you just have one big Fighters Collection that you pull from. So they might just do that and put both of the Festival Collections into one set too. So again, this is a good menu. Again, we use VP to buy packs, same as EX, where in EX you would play the AI battles or like story mode or doing ranked battles against, or like, like non-ranked battles against online people. And you'd get VP, which you would use to buy packs, and then from those packs you would pull cards, and if you have more than a playset, you would get crafting material, and then you would craft the cards. Building decks in EX was super easy, but if you wanted to max them out in terms of max rarity, it would take a little bit of time. So yes, good to see this, of course. Another thing here, which is the second filter, which is the amount of nations. So this kind of tells us that collabs will not be in. This, I think, was pretty obvious because, of course, of licensing and copyright issues. I think that they, like, it's just such a pain in the ass for Bushiroad to do that. And I think it, like, especially with some of the collabs not being out in English yet, obviously due to copyright and licensing issues, I think that if they tried to put the collabs in, we probably would never get this game in English. So I'm personally quite fine with the collabs not being in here. It's going to be just the 5 main nations plus Lyrical, which I think is perfectly okay. Also kind of funny how Stoichia is, you know, represented by Order Colony in a way here. But I digress. Moving on, we have, of course, the deck building right after that. So again, we have the 50 card main deck as well as the 16 triggers that you can choose from. And of course, it probably does remind you of like the 8 critical / whatever limit. So you can see here, this looks exactly the same as EX in terms of the menus as well. So you can kind of see, again, I think for a second there we did see the crafting cost. So yes, we actually do see the crafting cost in the corner. You can see the CP, so you have the VP to open packs, and then the CP is the crafting points, so that actually crafts you the cards. So very cool to see. It looks, again, the exact same as back in EX, so good to see that they kept that because it was a very good system. It was nice that they tell you the illustrator you can see here, which is pretty cool. So yes, then of course, they have CPU fights, and then the tutorial that they talked about on the website too, and then of course the online fight option, where you have free fights, and then you have rank fights. So it says, you know, you can fight against players from the entire country, but of course this game is going to be out in English, so it's going to be the entire world. Of course, they could make the Japanese version region locked, but that'd be really weird, so I'm assuming it's going to be just you play against people from all over the place, but it's just the Japanese trailer is going to say just against people in the same country. So they say here that you can raise your ranking, which is very huge, and we can see on the screen it says Platinum Class 1, so I'm assuming class is the division, so looks like we're going to have ranks as we kind of hoped that they would do, and I was really happy about this. This is the biggest news for me. So from a screenshot that we saw on social media, there was Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, and then a like top 2000 kind of like diamond rank. So it looks like there'll be a lot of ranks, and I hope they do reset after a certain period to keep the ladder exciting. So very cool. I'm a huge fan of this, and I think it's very much necessary. And then of course, she talks about how she is the main character, so Yuki, you follow her story and meet a bunch of other characters along the way, and then the Yu's voice actor says you can also follow our stories. So does our stories mean that it's going to be just a story based on Yu, based on Danji, based on Toya, or will they expand to other characters, or is it just Yu's story with other characters featured in it? From the screenshots in the background, you can kind of see like Megumi here as well in the background. So maybe they have their own main stories, but don't forget in EX also, we didn't know all of these stories until the game came out, with Oniwaru being added as like a last second kind of like information drop. So I'm assuming they might add like Tomari and Megumi over time, which I hope they do, because, you know, I mean, they are kind of like the main 3 of Overdress, but still, I think like Mirei and Tomari and Megumi also deserve a slot. And then I'm assuming that they might have like younger versions of the Will-Dress characters in here as well, like they did with Onimaru in EX, and then they might be able to have their own story in there too, if not at least a fighter skin. Anyway, moving on. So we have the stories, then of course they go through a bunch of the characters, and basically just cut to the release date as well as the included promo card. And so yeah, that's basically it. That is the information drop that we got for Dear Days, which I think looks pretty good. Like, I'm really happy about the rank mode. I'm also pretty happy about the lack of changes for how do you get the cards, because it was really easy to build decks because of how, like, obviously in EX there was a lot more packs, and because of clans it was a bit harder to build decks, but now we're gonna have less sets and of course more cards per set, which will make building the, you know, every single deck basically much easier, because you can just kind of like go through each set and just like get staples. And I wonder if they're gonna bring back the nation packs. They had clan packs in EX where you would be able to just like pull cards from one specific clan, so what if they'll do that for the nations, or if there's like no real point because, you know, you basically can just get everything because there's less sets. So yeah, pretty cool information drop. I'm actually quite happy about it. I'm looking forward to seeing more news about Dear Days as we approach the release date, although I kind of doubt they're going to do this every single week, although I would be pretty happy if eventually they do like little information drops that eventually lead into like a huge demo or something session on this Tuesday stream or something like that. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. They also announced a hero-based ride line for Brankage coming out. It's going to be revealed next Thursday, so I'll be restreaming that for sure. But other than that, that's basically it for this like big information drop that we got regarding Dear Days. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe. But otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.